In this video, we'll be looking at the pressure and temperature units that we will be using for this gas law unit. So first of all, what is pressure? You're likely familiar with this term, but do you know what it means in a scientific context? Pressure is a force exerted by a gas over a given area. So when we're talking about gases, it's going to be the force exerted by the gas over some area. What causes pressure? When we're talking about gases, it's actually the collisions of the gas particles with the walls of the container. Sort of like when two cars hit head-on, we know that the gas particles, like the car on the left, are colliding with the walls of the container, which increases or decreases the pressure within the container depending on what that pressure looks like. So there are several units that we will be talking about for pressure. They are atmospheres, millimeters of mercury, kilopascals, and torr. The one you are likely most familiar with is PSI, which is pounds per square inch. So I will relate everything back to that. Our conversion factor looks like this. 1 atmosphere is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury. That's equal to 101.3 kPa and 760 torr and 14.7 psi. So all of these pressure units have an equivalent value, so we can use this for converting units. Let's go ahead and try that. How many kilopascals are equivalent to 880 millimeters of mercury? Well, let's go back and look at our conversions. We see millimeters of mercury down at the bottom. 760 millimeters of mercury equals 101.3 kPa. So we're going to need that information over here. We have 880 mmHg. Let's set up our T-chart. And since we have millimeters of mercury on the top, we're going to go ahead and put that 760 millimeters of mercury on the bottom. We're converting to kPa, so we'll put that information on the top. Solve. So multiply 880 times 101.3 and then divide that by 760. And when you factor in sig figs, you'll end with 120 kilopascals. Okay, y'all go ahead and try this one. Find the number of PSI that are in 2.60 atmospheres. Pause the video and try this for yourself. Okay, let's see if you got it correct. So we have 2.60 atmospheres. 1 atmosphere was equal to 14.7 psi. And when you factor in sig figs, 2.60 atmospheres is equal to 38.2 psi. We also need to mention temperature. Here in the US, we are familiar with the Fahrenheit scale, while the rest of the world tends to use the Celsius scale. But when we're talking about gases, we are actually going to be using the Kelvin scale. And we'll be using that because it is an absolute temperature scale. It starts at 0 and goes theoretically to infinity. So there are no negative values for Kelvin. In order to convert a Celsius temperature into Kelvin, we're simply going to add 273. So let's look at an example. If I know that a substance is at 56 degrees Celsius and I want to convert that to Kelvin, I'm simply going to add 273, and that's my value in Kelvin. Simple, right? And finally, we need to know this acronym STP. So what does it stand for? STP stands for standard temperature and pressure. The standard temperature is 273 Kelvin. That is equivalent to 0 degrees Celsius. While the standard pressure is 1 atmosphere, or any of those other values, 14.7 psi, 101.3 kPa, and so on. Let's have a quick check. Go ahead and convert Celsius to Kelvin and kilopascals to atmospheres. Pause the video and then press play when you are ready. Did you get the answers right? I hope so. Thanks for watching.